Hello and welcome to Leviathan News. It's December 14th. And in a world of grand conspiracies, maladies, central banking nonsense, the Dow Jones hitting all-time highs, Elon getting targeted by the feds, and Argentina devaluing its currency by 100%, there is one man whose views shine bright, and that is BackTheBunny. And he is here today to grace us with his time to talk about RabbitX. So what is going on, sir?
Hey, man. Good to be back. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. No, it's really nice to have you back. I actually did not know that you were working with RabbitX, and I just saw this through Twitter the other day, and I was like, well, this looks pretty cool. And so I wanted to get you back on because we'd had you on two shows before, but I don't think we had really gone into depth with the project that you were working with.
Yeah, not in like deep fashion, but we did touch on like Rabbit and like the Perp angle and stuff. But yeah, we were. I mean, we were on mainnet then, but still growing and building up slowly. But we've really picked up and taken off lately. Volume's been doing very well. TVL's been climbing. Shipping a fair amount of stuff. Mobile app just came out the other day, like 2 days ago. So it's been really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting that you guys are taking the mobile first stance. I think that not a lot of people really go down that route, and it's probably limiting in growth.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of trading, a lot of activity happens on mobile. Like, it's not a trivial interface. In fact, it's arguably, I don't want to say it's more important than desktop, but it deserves to be taken just as seriously. And we got a lot of requests for that, and I think maybe the focus isn't on that so much because I don't know, the focus seems to be a lot on like financializing stuff and artificial scarcity and things to engineer token stuff. And we just have a fundamental view that, I mean, listen, you just keep shipping and creating value and putting that out there and it needs to work, and it needs to be easy and beautiful to use and do what you want it to do. And it'll eventually come, and we just need to make that visible. And mobile was really a big emphasis of us. We think it's a big differentiator too, because like you said, it's not, it doesn't seem to be, even if an app, a DeFi app does have one, it seems to be something of an afterthought. And yeah, ours is very much like, front and center, just as serious as the rest of the product.
Yeah, most people build like the contracts first and then slap an app on top, and it's not usually the other way around.
Yeah. No, we're taking this from the lens of like, listen, we're building a real product that's fundamentally driven, and you just so happen to access it on chain, and has all the ethos and beliefs of DeFi underpinning it. But we treat it like a real business, and we're trying to build it like that, and with a real startup energy to it. And we have to get product market fit and capture people. It has to be good. So we're trying to be as good as we can.
Yeah, I mean, the DEX landscape I'm really interested in because I think it's prime for growth in the next, or like the Perp DEX landscape. It's going to be prime for growth in the next like couple of years. We're really at the beginning. DYDX just made the transition over to V4 on their Cosmos app. Quinta's been making moves as well too, and GMX V2 just launched as well too. You guys are on Starkware, where DYDX just left. So what's been that experience been like in the Starkware community?
So like right now, our model is pretty much like DYDX V3, where you deposit on chain, we do the bridging for you, and that's the StarkNet involvement right now is a variation of that. Like the order book itself is off chain, and the sequencing is off chain, and we in our roadmap actually have intentions to do exactly what kind of the V4 of DYDX is doing with RBX chain, where that sequencing and that activity is brought on chain, and we plan on using StarkNet for that. So that's in our, we'll say, medium to longer term roadmap. It's hard to give a concrete ETA on that because right now we just have a lot of other things like fiat on ramping, more mobile app stuff, a referral program. And then some other stuff. We have an airdrop that will be beginning probably in a month or so. So like we have some nearer term stuff that we really want to focus on to help capture, share and kind of show people what we're about. And then it's important to us that eventually segues and evolves into like a very, more and more decentralized ethos and setup of kind of how that all works.
Yeah.
So, but the Starknet kind of like meta or narrative, Perps has been a strong narrative, and I've heard a lot of people say the Starknet ZK one is as well. So we fit both of those, and I think Perps collectively as a market, I'm just very bullish on that in general, because I mean our market's like the Perps dexes, and by that I mean I include us, DYDX, GMX, all of them. Like, we're pitifully small in terms of the share of total Perps volume, and by that I mean it's like 2% of the total volume. Like 98% belongs to the sexes. So all of us have a ton of share and growth we can capture, and that's really our driving force here. Is there's obviously huge demand here, and we need to make this be as smooth and as frictionless as possible, because fundamentally, if we offer that, then why would you go with a sex over a dex to begin with? And you just have risks you don't need to take, and then the experience is just as good. So we need that experience to be every bit just as good. So that's why we're very, very sensitive to how easy it is to use and the experience and all that.
Yeah, I fully agree with you there. I think that the user experiences, at least on mobile, probably has to be prioritized over everything. Everybody builds for like a Web3 desktop environment, but most people just have phones. And if you're not building for that and the user experience isn't good and easy, it's just going to be lackluster at the end of the day, unless there's like insane yields that like drive you, like users who are just there to take part in that short-term situation.
Yeah, and that's a sugar high. Like we've gone out of our way to like not do that. We've ran the last airdrop campaign we ran was ended in August. We've had no retail incentives at all since then. The only incentives we have with RBX are for market makers, and it's if they maintain spreads and uptimes and market make well for us. And to me, that's an operating expense, like, because if we don't have liquidity, we don't have a product. Like, we need that as much as we need the good UI. So I mean, we only have incentives for basically those guys to make sure people can trade with us. Like, we have no interest in just dumping a bunch of tokens on mercenary capital to pump our numbers and then leave, because they're just going to leave, and then you're left with no value. We have to make sure it's accretive to us in terms of the value we're building and getting better, and then also providing value to people from using us. So yeah, we're not trying to like pump RBX onto people to get them to trade.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, I think you guys do have some advantages. I mean, I was looking at the fees, and everyone gets 0% maker fees at the
right.
Up to like VIP4 when it starts to go negative. And that's really important. I mean, I think that if you're trying to build out like some good market making facilities, that's the kind of fee structure you want. And the taker fees at the high end of your volume as well too also become very competitive as well too.
Yeah. If you compare us to sex fee structures, it should be just as good, if not better. Like, I think Binance has some slightly lower taker fees, but they have maker fees too, though. And we have no maker fees. And in fact, we have maker rebates once you hit a certain threshold. So like, when you weigh it out, we're very competitive with all of them. We're arguably better than a lot of them. And, that's what it takes. Like, people at the end of the day want something that works and is easy to use and is not a pain. And then there's also costs, structured fee-wise for them, and we have a lot of other trading tools and stuff we're adding as well, or that we have added. We have chart trading, technical analysis tools. We have a full suite of advanced order types as well. So like stuff that you would have with a real broker. Like, the goal is for you to go to our page and to not feel like you're using DeFi, insofar as right now the connotation of DeFi is like MetaMask, right? Which is just janky and give it a minute, it doesn't work, that kind of thing. Like, we know, like, it's built in expectations that it's not going to be smooth, but we tolerate it because we love DeFi, right?
Yeah.
We want to get to the point where you're not tolerating anything to use this. It's like using a real broker. It's like logging into Interactive Brokers or Binance or any other site where you expect it to work flawlessly.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like the DEX perp space, when we talk about DeFi, the ability of the perp DEX is really to be able to take specific strategies that different funds might run, or just even like really simple things like a fixed leverage product, constant leverage product, and like tokenize that. And then that token can then exist outside of the perp DEX. And so it's the ability to externalize the market, which I think is the really powerful, like long-term outcome of these perp DEXs.
Yeah. I mean, I also just think it's letting people access this stuff permissionlessly, and anonymously, and give them avenues beyond just something that's a corporate entity. And some chains will gatekeep that, or have some stuff along with it. And I mean, that's fine, but it's like, I think DYDX is, I don't know if DYDX is doing some form of that with V4. But, I think that ethos too is really important, that you're able to trade and do this no matter who you are. It's a right, in DeFi, so to speak, and still providing every bit as good of a ability to use it.
Yeah. So how do you get what's the plan to get first look? I know you're doing all your stuff through Twitter and stuff, but really the growth starts now for
Right.
Rabbit.
Right. So we have a couple partnerships and varying discussions right now. We have some relationships with some other CT native types that'll probably get, we'll announce those soon, or hope to announce those soon. We just listed on MEXC RBX, our token, which has been doing very well lately.
Very well.
And it's and it's been doing well on the back of shipping, which makes me really happy. It's not doing well on the back of we're doing a buyback or something, right? Like some kind of financial engineering to make it go up. It's just gone up because I've received God knows how many calls lately and investor discussions with people asking fundamental questions and looking to allocate $250,000, $500,000, $1 million or so, something like that. And some funds too. So it's building on what I feel is a very solid foundations of good, and I wrote a piece called "You Get the Investors You Deserve and the Token Holders You Deserve Too." You'll get the holder base based off your communicating and messaging that you put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very intentionally hey, this is our roadmap. This is what we're putting out there. Our mobile app, our, XYZ. We have 31 markets now. We just released 5 this week as well. And that's what's kind of been driving it forward. So we want to continue that messaging, but, of course, spread it to far and wider. We have some conversations with some trading streamers that I'm excited about that hope come into play soon. Because we want, traders are our bread and butter. Ultimately, if we don't have them, then, we don't have anything. So we want to get in front of those eyes, and then also working with some market makers to help get us more visible as well. And also more listings for RBX.
Yeah.
Like I said, we just did MEXC, a centralized exchange, and we are in conversations with some others too. We actually are hoping to get something moving with Bybit. They have a program they're doing right now that we want to partake in, and hopefully get in on them on the cheaper side of things. But we know that's all important, and we're kind of trying to approach it from a cost-effective standpoint too. We have a good runway. We're well funded. We have great, some good backers. Great backers. Sequoia's one, Multicoin's another. But we're also not just spraying money on people and just hope that works out. So at least while we're still in early bull vibes, we're not out of this crab yet. So we're not going to spend money it's free again. But it's something we're definitely working towards. We're just being cost effective about it now, and then once those bull spirits come back more and more and more, who knows? We have plans to really amp the spend up once that occurs, because we don't want to just capture the current DeFi market. I mean, the current market share of DeFi traders. There's probably only, I'm speculating a little bit here, but maybe only 300, 400, 500 legit traders in DeFi that have real capital to them ish. I mean, that's a bit conjecture, but I'm curious if anyone has thoughts on that. So it's you can capture them, but it's what next? That's, your growth has to be more than that. So that's why we're doing things like fiat on-ramping, which is where you can use a credit card to deposit onto your Rabbit account. You can just go from TradFi, meat space right to Rabbit. We have things like social login, which you can just log in if you don't have a wallet at all. You can just connect your Discord or your email, and we'll give one to you, and it's associated with that wallet. So these are the kind of things that are user-friendly from newbies getting into the space. This is how you bring in more people. And a lot of those solutions aren't very ideologically pure. I understand that. The social login is a hot wallet one, and then it's tying it to an email or your Discord. So that's also not anonymous. But some people don't care about that. And if you don't, here's the solution for you, and it's very easy. So that is also another form of marketing and advancement we see that is not really emphasized by people in the space. It seems the mindset is just capture share of those 500 traders, 400 traders that already exist, and then that's kind of it. So we really, like I said, our growth goals are definitely, we want them, but then we want much more than just them.
Can we go back to that comment that you made? I know you wrote that post about it, about you get the investors you get the investors you deserve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like not everybody's like Sam Altman or previously like SBF, where you essentially just like open your hands and release an idea and people would throw $1 billion at you.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a tension between like taking in money, which the company needs to be able to grow, versus the demands of investors to essentially like either push valuations lower or include special terms for the deals. So like how do you navigate all this?
So a lot of it is messaging, and by that I mean like what we are bringing to front and center on Twitter, and what we are discussing insofar as we're emphasizing our pipeline. We're not amping up an airdrop. We're not amping up, hey, we're going to do maybe an RBX buyback, some kind of financial engineering. And it's the same kind of thing that you see from companies. Like, for example, I mean, Tesla has a very large retail base, and Tesla has almost intentionally cultivated that. Like when you do things like a stock split, there's nothing fundamentally happening there when you do a stock split. Like you're only doing that to make it more accessible to smaller traders. You're making it more easy to day trade too, because you need like less capital for a whole share. So you're fostering a lot of like more short-term mindsets, and that means that usually correlates with like when you listen to investor calls, they're going to focus on shorter term metrics typically. You know, a lot of investor calls are, quarter over quarter stuff, so that's kind of short term by nature. But the emphasis tends to be like very, I don't know, like hey, here's our revenue growth number, not hey, here's how we plan to expand our gross margins over time, which is extremely important too. And like the opposite side of that scale is like Warren Buffett, who has never split Berkshire stock A. It's like what, $500,000 stock or something.
Yeah.
And he speaks in like 5 to 10 year cycles, right? So he's an extreme, obviously, but like if you invest and hold Berkshire, like you're there for the long run. Like you believe in what they're doing from a fundamental standpoint. Whereas if you're, trading GME or something and what GameStop, or something like that, then that company management has put out a very different message that attracts a very different base just naturally. And management tends to start shaping how they manage capital and resources and what they kind of build for, or metrics they have geared towards that. So that's how this kind of like feeds into itself. So I mean, I think we are, I wrote that piece, and it's very like, it kind of reiterates some of the stuff I've said, and I think that's part of the meta messaging even here, that like a DeFi, a guy working with a DeFi app would put this out there. It's like, okay, well, they're probably not going to play as many financial games, and they're probably not going to just airdrop to get their get fake volume, things like that. So that's kind of how we manage for it. Like we really are just focusing on fundamental stuff. And when I have conversations, I kind of emphasize things like I am now, like, hey, here's our long-term goals to bring more people into DeFi, and here's our goals for what we're shipping to get growth at all these stages. Like that should attract a certain type of person and investor that understands, you can trade RBX if you want, but like if I buy this, it's an investment too. And if the market oscillates in the near term, fine, markets oscillate. But like I understand what these guys are working towards long term, and I support that. So that's kind of how what you put out into the world hopefully comes back to you. And it's no matter what domain you are, right? And business is no exception. So sorry for the long answer, but
I completely get it. I think that like DeFi products exist in this like strange space where companies have this lag time from the time that they operate. Like all of their internal like revenue figures are like closely held within the company. You don't really get to see the exact numbers of the like turnover and revenues, profits, all that on
right.
a daily basis. DeFi is in this like weird place where everything's so radically transparent. Like, you can pull up the stats for RabbitX right now and see exactly how much volume is being done, how many traders are firing off, how many wallets are connected into the contracts, like, and track that growth on literal a day by day basis. And right. So the fundamentals are already transparent. And so you almost have to have a, like, I don't want to call it marketing, but like a putting your best foot forward of also having a like promoting radical transparency as well too.
Yeah. It's a very like new paradigm of investing and just being involved in something that I mean, this would only be privy to VCs before, on private deals that no one ever sees, that are super opaque, right? And even when some companies do go public, like Interactive Brokers only updates on their trading activity and stuff and what they want to share every 3 months. Like, you can't see that real time. So a lot of the stuff, yeah, it's just providing visibility in a whole new way, which is just really refreshing. And that's a very salient pro. Something of a maybe of a con with that is that the immediate liquidity and like the ability to see this all real time sometimes fosters a lot of short-term thinking. Because right, if everyone's looking at metrics every day, then if you have like 3 or 4 days of good metrics, it's like, whoa, all right, you get maybe a false signal. Or if they have 1 or 2 slow, if some things that are noise can be interpreted as signal and might cause a lot of near-term speculation or movement. And then the fact that the token is liquid is also a new phenomenon too, because beforehand, in early stage investing, like, you're basically locked up for like 10 years or, until you get a liquidity event. IPOs are roughly about 10 years, give or take. They've been getting longer over time. And, or you have to facilitate some like, OTC style deal between a intermediary. So like that, there is a bit of there's a pro there in that it makes people be more long-term. It then lets management build more long-term, right? Because if we're not having to report on, the price of RBX move, because like in private markets, prices don't move daily. They're marked to market, however, like couple months, whatever, like whenever someone wants to roughly approximate it. So there's something about like the human condition that makes you more chill with like, all right, you're building something fundamental. That's fine. I don't see the price moving around, so I'm just calmer about it. So it is a double-edged sword. It is very much on net a good thing, but you have to work through the myopia and near-term thinking it fosters, which hopefully is a competitive advantage for us, that just if you can think that way, you can do better. So
yeah, it's definitely I think it fosters a good type of like founders. Like the people that stay around for the long term are usually pretty like rock solid in their messaging. It really doesn't change from day to day. Everything always is like on point, on message. This is what we're doing, and the community kind of forms around that messaging. In the sense that like we understand this product, we understand where it's going. We have full faith in their ability to deliver, which I think is the like core critical aspect here, is that like finding people who can deliver in the space is tough. There's a lot of projects that like come and go. We've seen in just this last cycle, probably like thousands of projects. The ones that stick, I mean, they really do stick, and they really do form these like strong communities that really bolster them during these downturns.
Yeah, agreed. It's funny, like, until you have that Sam Altman tier credibility, and in our space, that would be like Andre Carnet or, I forget the guy who founded Synthetics, the Australian guy. Someone like, someone like that, where it's like, all right, this guy's legit. Like, he's shipped before. I believe him. Then people tend to just like believe what you say, which is great, and you've earned that right too. Like, that's not just something you're given. Like, that's something you earn. And none of us on the team are in that, obviously, pantheon of persons. So we're trying to put that messaging out there, and that this is who we are. I think I've been really good about doing that, and kind of building credibility separately, because I don't talk about RBX or pumping stuff. Like, I'm mostly philosophical posting and like frameworks analysis and things like that. So like there's an implicit, like, I feel appreciation of that. At least I hope there is. So, and then that hopefully fosters people believing in us, because a lot of it, I mean, this is we're telling you what we're aiming for here. Like, this product is not congealing out of the ether and being built by autonomous AGI agents, right? Like, people have to build this stuff, and you have to believe what people are telling you insofar as what their intentions and goals are, because there's just no way around that too. Like crypto does not solve that. Like, it just, once the product exists, then it can be accessed in a way that gives you those traits that we all love, like permissionlessness, anonymity, robustness to no censorship, things like that. But you have to fundamentally like believe in the people that are building this, and think, hey, can these guys deliver? Like, do I understand what they're doing? Is it coherent? Is what they're doing something that's achievable with their capital and team? And then kind of go from there. So it's a lot of what VCs end up doing. VCs are making, for the most part, personal judgment calls on the competence of management largely, and how they think they're going to go about things.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're trying to earn that credibility. So
And like credibility is like, I mean, I guess you're anon or like semi-anon or
Semi, yeah.
somewhere in there. Like,
Yeah.
does the mask come off eventually? Like, do you take a real place in the ecosystem? Like, let's say RabbitX goes to like, you're doing billions of dollars of transactional volume a day. I don't know what the other team members are, if they're anon or not, but like, where does that leave you in a couple of years?
Like a couple, it hasn't been asked a lot. Interestingly, I think maybe like 4 or 5 times this has been asked, like ever. And especially with the more interest we've been getting, it surprises me it's not. And I think it's because people also fundamentally, like, they know, like, if you say who you are, it almost doesn't make it any worse or better, because some of the biggest scams have come from people who know their names. Like,
it's like the power that people have over you is your name, right? What was
your reputation. I'm not sure the quote you're referencing, but yeah, that's but like, no, like that doxing hasn't like stopped a lot of people from being shitty and scamming you. It's like it provides this degree of comfort that sometimes almost fosters this like believability that maybe shouldn't be there. And I mean, we've seen that numerous times. But anyway, back to your direct question. I've spoken at some conferences this year. I just actually did a talk and a panel at Urban Assembly in Lisbon about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there. Obviously, I didn't have a mask on while I was there. My name is Dimitri, by the way, and I introduced myself as such. So like, I did another, some stuff in Austin early this year. I was at Permissionlessness. I think that's the earlier one. Consensus Permission, whichever one's at the earlier part of the year in Austin. I went there and did a panel as well. So like, I'm going on behalf, on Rabbit. I'm showing who I am. So like, it's not like this hardcore thing or like I'm going to deny opportunities because of this. But at the same token, I'm just not putting my face and my personal background front and center, because I also just think that's, I think the substance is what matters most. And I also just don't care to have attention on me in that way. I suppose. The rest of our team too is like, you can find out who they are. Like Ming is our CEO. And if you want to hunt around, you can find them. Some of them are on LinkedIn, but we're just not making it like this visible thing. We don't have a, hey, who is the RabbitX team on the website? We have a description of who we are and what we're working towards, mm-hmm. and our values and our goals. So as that needs to change, and maybe it will, maybe when we get so big that we start attracting LinkedIn people, we have to give LinkedIn messaging, right? Like, fine. But right now, like, we're talking to DeFi natives. We're talking to other anons that kind of, I feel, implicitly understand how it goes. And they're judging us off what we have to say and what we're doing, and not who we are. And if you found out who we are, I think you'd be every bit as encouraged about us. Like, it's not like the backgrounds are very credible, especially like, our COO, Ming, our CEO, very strong TradFi backgrounds in credit, market making. I used to work in TradFi as a risk analyst. I've done some writing and stuff like that too, professionally. So like, we're a very legit team. We're just not leading with that. And, yeah, that's the best answer I can give there. It'll evolve as it needs to evolve, though. Like, we're not being schizo about it or anything, but
we'll have to get you a bunny mask. We just did an interview with Flywheel yesterday for Lol DeFi, and he was wearing like a Banteg mask. With, like,
nice.
Yeah, like crochet Banteg mask is pretty cool. Yeah, it's well, I listened on another podcast. Like, I didn't know this, but like you ran a gym for a while and you're still like pretty ripped, so that puts you in the same type of league as like Sam from Frax as well too.
Oh, does he is he like a lifter?
Oh yeah, he's religiously been powerlifting for, I don't know, 10 years.
Oh shit, nice. Yeah, good to find the fellow meathead DeFiers, right?
Yeah, you can actually go to the IQ wiki page, and it has his like max lifts on there.
Does it really? Nice. Yeah, I was never a power lifter. I was always a bodybuilder, but like the way I lifted was always free weight and squats, bench press, deads, a lot of free weight dumbbell stuff. So like I would never did singles. I was more of the lowest I'd go would be a triple, maybe 4 or 5 reps, frankly. But I'd never go higher than like 8. So I always thought it was lame if you were big and not strong.
I mean, you look at the transition of, I mean, really, it's like put your faith in people who are like in the gym all the time, right? Like even Bezos has like transformed and Zuckerberg as well too. I mean, they've like radically transformed into these like hyper ripped, UFC style fighters. Like Bezos on the yacht, like shirtless, this $1 billion yacht, walking around.
I know. All that work he did, he just wanted a Latina GF and to be ripped, man. That's he built Amazon all.
I saw,
Yeah, no.
yeah. I mean, I saw pictures of him at Art Basel Miami, and he's looking pretty good.
Oh, really? Oh, he was there. Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't even know what Art Basel was until a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. I was living down in Miami Beach for a couple of years until we moved up here to NYC, and it's like the biggest event of the whole year. There's like 70 different art shows, and all the celebrities come in, and it's a lot of fun. People come to buy art. It's great.
Oh, nice. I like that. I've been getting more and more in the art vein too. With I've been posting on BackTheBunny, just as like personal stuff that I enjoy making, and it's made me appreciate. Well, I mean, I always had an appreciation for it. I always stopped into art studios and art museums whenever I saw them. But yeah, I've been really enjoying what AGNs have been letting me do insofar as giving a guy who doesn't have a lot of like technical Photoshop skills or that kind of thing, or I've never been a good drawer or painter like with my own hands, but now with these unusual sequences of words, I can create things that are distinctly unique and kind of befitting of me, and I've really enjoyed what that extension that those tools have given me.
Yeah, and it was great for me because like everybody has stuff that is their kind of monetary niche that they buy into at the top of the cycle. Like when you're just like cash wealthy, you have so much money you don't even know what to do with it, and you just need to spend money. Like I like to go out and buy art pieces. What's yours?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I have something like that. I'll do things like, and this is gonna sound fun, like I'll get sushi more regularly. Something that I view as like a luxury. I'll get more often. I don't do a good job of treating myself to luxuries like that, but I don't really have one. I'll maybe start thinking about where I want to go next. I travel a lot and kind of do the digital nomad thing. So I'll hunt around for like a new place I want to stay or something, but that's not even really tied to money or making money or not making money, because it doesn't cost that much anyway. So I don't have a good answer for that. I don't think I have one.
Well, we're just in the beginning of the new cycle, and there's a long way to go, hopefully. So
Sure, yeah.
End of it.
Maybe at a certain net worth figure, maybe everyone has something. So perhaps I just haven't hit that yet.
Exactly. Well, we got to wrap up short today. It was great to hear about what you're doing with RabbitX, and it's a little bit different than the other streams that we've had on, which been more product focused. So it was great to have you here, Dimitri, and we'll have you back to talk about macro and other like more important things like Milady conspiracies.
Yeah, man, anytime. I appreciate you reaching out and for staying on me, and would love to jump on and just shoot the shit about that stuff. Oh, by the way, we have just a little near-term roadmap for people listening. Referral program is coming soon, hopefully within this month before the year goes out. We just we keep testing it, and then our airdrop 2 distribution's happening, and then airdrop 3 will be happening soon after that. And then we also have vaults coming soon as well, where people can simply stake their money, and then it follows an automated strategy. You provide liquidity to Rabbit and also make profits off how the vault trades. So some near-term stuff we're looking towards.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for being here today, and we will see you back again soon in the next year.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Thanks.